Your source for all things Texas Tech. This is the Ask Level podcast from Double T 97.3.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome into another episode of the Ask Level podcast, episode number 57 today, alongside Chris Level. I'm Chois Woodman. We are brought to you by our friends at Cant Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Level, what's happening, man? How we doing today?
We're doing great. We're energized. We're fresh off of a win. Winning is better than losing. So, yeah, man. I guess Grant McCasland's guys off to a 2-0 start, and Joy McGuire's team is one win away from bowl eligibility. So it's been a good little stretch here.
Yeah, definitely a good stretch, good week. I think if you're a Texas Tech sports fan, both basketball teams go 2-0 in the opening week. You get the win, obviously, in football. I would say the football win and your second basketball win, probably not how you'd put them down on paper, how you'd draw it up, but the old adage that a win is a win is as true as it gets. You get one on the road against a ranked team in Lawrence, 16-13. You can't shoot worth anything for a long part of a game against San Jose State, but end up going on an 18-2 run to win that ball game. So you take it. And we'll start with football level, but that was a fast start for the Red Raiders, which was good. And hey, you got win number 5 on the season. You're exactly where you were last year at this point in the season, 5-5, with 2 games to play, a chance to get bowl eligible the following week. And that was one where it was a nail biter at the end, but you get a clutch drive down the stretch, and Gino Garcia knocks it through, and you beat a ranked team on the road, and you don't apologize for those.
Just like you drew it up, though, the whole thing, right? Yeah.
Something like that.
It was not a masterpiece by any means. I think you had several opportunities to kind of pull away from Kansas, and turn that into a 3-score game, and then but it just, you're not good enough right now to be able to do that, I think. But yeah, you're right. You don't apologize for the win. That was arguably your best win of the year, because Kansas is 7-2. They were 4-2 in the league prior to you playing them. They were 1 game away from a spot in Arlington, depending on the standings before the weekend started, and their only losses were to the 2 top teams in the conference, in Texas and Oklahoma State, again before the weekend started. And you knew you had to play pretty well to get out of there. Now, obviously, the dynamics involved in that game with Jason Bean going down alters it a bit. I think that Baron Morton telling me after the game I'm at about 60% probably was a bit sobering news for a lot of people to kind of hear that it's still a bit far off on him.
Sure.
Just being like what you need and what you're used to and all those things. But I thought his, his mechanics, his game management, just him being out there elevates everybody enough. And then, his 3-for-3 final drive, 3-for-3 for, I think, like close to like 65 yards in those final 3 plays to get you in field goal range for Gino Garcia, just to kind of kick in basically an extra point. With 26 seconds left, because you had led that game for, what would that be, 59 minutes and 34 seconds?
Yeah. Well,
you let it however long it
after
took
the first drive,
the first touchdown. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, but pretty close. Yeah, you did.
You'd either led or it had been tied or whatever until right there. So anyway, but yeah, just figuring out a way. And I don't care. I some people may. I just am not going to get caught up into how much of a grind it was. You got a result. I mean, I don't apologize for beating a true freshman quarterback. don't apologize for anything. BYU is not going to apologize for beating you whenever Jake Strong was in there, and Kansas State certainly not going to apologize for that. That's just the breaks. It's a marathon in these football seasons, but I don't know. It was just one of those kind of gutsy efforts, and Kansas made a run. I mean, they're good. They're a pain to deal with, and they got you on a long option play with Devin Neal finally getting loose. But I thought you tackled really well. You didn't, I thought you want to know how important Jacob Rodriguez is to your team.
Mm-hmm.
Go back and watch that first fourth down stop, which was 4th and goal, and he just shoots the gap.
Sure.
And I think tackled Daniel Highshaw, I don't know, 3 or 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And then I think Ben Roberts and some other folks arrived to kind of bring him down ultimately. But it's him that saw the play and just was in there. And I don't know, you just kind of, it's been kind of fun to have your guys and seeing what that, even though Barron is far less than 100% on what that can do for you. Because and again, I hate to admit it, but Kansas is a good team, but you own them, man. As much as they own you in basketball, the opposite is true in football.
Even more. Yeah. I mean, it's the winning percentage is the largest winning percentage, the biggest winning percentage of any Big 12 versus Big 12 matchup there is out there, 23-2, when you've played at least 10 games in a series. So it's crazy. How much Tech has owned them. And yeah, you beat a good football team. And that hasn't happened much in this series because most of them have been bad. So you cherish this one, you take it. It wasn't pretty at all. 16-13. It feels like, man, Joey McGuire's teams have seemed to be quite a chameleon where they adapt to whatever type of game it is. We've seen that time and time again. You saw a game 35-28 the previous week against TCU. You see a Big Ten-esque game up in the Midwest like we saw against Iowa State last year. And wouldn't surprise me if you turn around and this week against Central Florida, you go see another shootout type of game with the two offenses flowing. So it seems like maybe some really late, but maybe some of that magic that we saw last year in one-score games, you're starting to see with this football team this year. You started off 0-3 this season in one-score games this year, but you've won 2 one-score games in a row, and it feels like this team may be turning some sort of corner there.
It just, what that speaks to, though, is how little things in games are massive. Player availability, a call, because now you're suggesting that half of your games have been one-score games.
Yeah, the margin is razor thin.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And I mean, like, as you're watching kind of Kansas kind of come back a little bit, you're thinking, man, that holding call on Dennis Wilburn, which would have been Taj Brooks' second touchdown, that would put you up 14-0. It negates it. You settle for 3. Ooh, that is a massive hold or call or whatever. And Braylon Lux dropping a would-be pick 6, I think,
seal it at that point.
It ends it. It ends it, whether he scores it or not, or just goes down right there. I think that those are, so you're in some ways you're lucky to live to still tell about it on the right side of it, because sometimes you don't get those other chances, and if there's plays there to be made, you got to make them. But anyway, I just, and Taj Brooks, I thought he had a great first half. I think Kansas, obviously did a good job of adjusting and getting that stopped, as didn't really have much success in the running game in the second half, with some of that, and you've got a quarterback with a compromised arm and, or shoulder, I should say. So, hey man, Joey McGuire now 5-1 in November, and you're one win away from extending your season, and it's not the kind of year that you wanted, but it's imperative that you continue it, and with your younger players now really starting to get involved, you can play a lot of your red shirts, the guys that you are planning to redshirt this year, in a bowl game. Your signees could practice. So yes, that includes Micah Hudson and the Will Hammond types. Just so many positives about extending your season, but got to get one more result, and you've got 2 opportunities to do that. But heck, man, I'm of the opinion that you try to go win both of them and
I'd be
do
okay
the
with
same
that.
thing you did last year.
Yeah, that'd be good. Finish on a 4-game winning streak. That sure would feel a lot different than a lot of the season has gone.
Well, and heck, if we're asking for stuff, let's finish on a 5-game winning streak.
Yeah, let's get greedy.
Count
Why not?
the bowl game into that mix as well.
Shoot, yeah. So,
and you know what? Let's create a bunch of excitement and hope for the following year by finishing the year on a win streak. Some people may even suggest that you're a dark horse for the conference championship in the offseason.
Hey, you know what? I'm all right with that. Just deliver a little bit better early in the season.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But this year, the next year, you got to go to Alton Stadium. You got to go play at Oregon.
Yeah, not quite as easy.
I wish Wyoming had to. I wish Wyoming had to come to Lubbock next year because we won't see them until I don't know
28. I think 28.
Okay.
Like we've already got the Big 12 schedule for this long, and then I still think we don't see Wyoming until after all these Big 12 games we know about. It's crazy. So Central Florida on the schedule this week, and then I'll get to some questions and then turn to some hoops as well. Central Florida, the opponent this week. Whatever the heck happened down in Orlando, no one saw that coming. Vegas,
a monsoon happened.
Yeah, Vegas had a close game here. They had OSU by 2 points, I think, when this one finished. So you knew something's up there. That you knew, hey, OSU, based on what had happened in the season, you would have thought been a touchdown or better favorite. But the close game, you're like, okay, something's going there, and then you just see OSU never show up for that game. Very, very strange. The Vegas line opens at 3.5 is the first one I've seen. So early line there, 3.5 in favor of Texas Tech at home against UCF. But this is a team that a week ago you look at and say, yeah, you're going to win that game, or feel pretty confident you're going to win that game at home. Now that one gets a little tougher, I guess, after seeing what happened in Orlando.
Yeah, and I think I was looking at this to be sure, but UCF has won. Let me see here. They've won. They beat Boise State and they beat Cincinnati on the road, and those were 2-point wins. But they really haven't gotten blown out at all. I mean, they lose at Kansas State by 13, lose to Baylor at home, and just total meltdown mode. And they really didn't recover from that for a while. Really, maybe you could make the argument against until it was.
And they've dealt with quarterback attrition too, like many teams in this league.
John Rice Plumlee had missed some time. He's very good, by the way.
Yeah.
They lost to West Virginia 41-28. They lost to Oklahoma by 2 as well. They're they have a legit coach in Gus Malzahn, and now their quarterback is back. He's going to run the ball a ton. He's you're going to hear about it all week. He's a stud baseball player for UCF, and a really good quarterback as well. I think he gives them obviously a different look from based on what you have seen. I think he's going to be more of a runner than I'm trying to think. Maybe more than anybody you've seen recently. By a lot of called runs, a lot of scrambles, a lot of his legs involved in the run game, a lot of RPO type stuff. But they were the team before the season that was the new member that I thought would do the best, and it didn't really happen for them. I think they've scored points on everybody. They've kept a lot of these games that were close. I'm sure they feel like they've turned a corner now that went from 0-5 in the league to now 2-5 with a couple of wins, one over Cincinnati and then Oklahoma State. And I don't know whether that's an Oklahoma State team that had a hangover game, or if UCF is just that much better than they were. But that's what makes this sport so difficult to project week to week, because you just never know. I know the OU fans, I'm sure, enjoyed the Oklahoma State result quite a bit. But there'll be some speed that you have to contend with. But, we also know Texas Tech always does play a lot better at home too.
Yeah.
And you've got, you kind of got to push your chips to the middle of the table, man, and get your bowl eligibility done, because I don't think you really want to go to Austin having to get that done. That's going to be a tough ask with Texas in the, I guess theoretically, in the not just the Big 12 title hunt, but the college football playoff race as well. They have zero margin for error. They cannot take another loss.
Yeah.
Or otherwise they're out of certainly the national championship opportunities. But, depending on the standings and things like that, the Big 12 gets a bit more murkier too.
Yeah, no doubt. A few questions we'll start on the ones from Twitter. This one from Leah says, did Barron re-injure his shoulder?
No, it's still, this is just a painful injury. And I think it's actually one that, Quinn Ewers didn't even play through for Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I think Quinn Ewers may have like an insurance policy, or there's no telling what the background there is, but Barron has played through it to his credit. It's very painful. You can't, the way it's explained to me is you can't really hurt it worse, but it's very much a pain tolerance issue, and it's on his throwing shoulder, and it's very painful. It hurts. It's like having a migraine headache in your shoulder. And I think once he gets it loosened up in warm-ups and everything like that, you're kind of good to go. But as the game goes on, it gets worse and worse. And I'm sure that he would tell you that adrenaline got him through that last series, because I think there was times in this game where he maybe doesn't take a shot down the field, one, because it hurts, or he's just not sure if he can get it there, or doesn't want to force a turnover, which we did see, that in the first half. He threw it up on a rollout. Kansas, the safety, rolled over and able to pick that off, his third interception of the year. But and how about our man Gino Garcia too? By the way, he missed a 48-yarder, but just makes the easy ones. Makes the ones that you've got to have, and a 48-yarder. I can't really. It's frustrating, sure, but you can't, after he kicked a 55-yarder the week before. Anything 45 plus is always going to be hit or miss, but. You make everything from 40 on down, and I'll take it every day, because
for sure.
And he was certainly huge for you over the weekend. Yeah.
Gino deserves a lot of credit, because he's coming after two extremely good kickers that you've had in the last two seasons too. I mean, you relied on kicking a lot in the last 2 years, and Gino's had some pressure on him to come in and do well, and he struggled early, made the adjustment, and has done fantastic for you since, and he is right in line with those other guys that preceded him. So deserves a ton of credits too, because those clutch field goals. I mean, think about the K-State game 2 weeks ago against Texas. Those clutch field goals aren't easy. I mean, the K-State kicker misses a 27-yarder late in that game, 27-yarder. You can miss at any point, anytime, especially with the pressure of the moment. And Gino's come through and been cool as a cucumber plenty of times.
Cool as a cucumber.
Yeah. It's got a crisp, cool.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. This from, speaking, you mentioned that last drive with Barron. Jeff says, why can't we light it up on offense with 20? Why can we light it up on offense with 20 seconds left, but couldn't during the 60 minutes of us? Hey, 20 seconds are still part of the 60 minutes, man.
Yeah, math. Yeah, I mean, well, and I think adrenaline. We've talked about his arm issues. I think and then I think Kansas played a bit of a different. Defense. They weren't quite as aggressive. I thought Barron was very aggressive on his one throw to Jerron Bradley, because when that ball's in the air, Bradley hasn't even come out of his break yet, and
He's not looking.
No, not at all. And he turns around and it's like, okay, here we go. Ball's in the air and it's almost here. And I thought he did a good job, but that's Barron, kind of with some foresight and just trying to give his guy a chance. But it was just it was a grind. I mean, and Kansas's defense deserves some credit as well, because it goes back to you do lack speed and juice on offense. I think line is just okay right now. And they basically took Taj out of it, and then you've got a compromised quarterback. It kind of equals a jumbled mess at times. But again, I don't care if the 60 minutes of us is in the first 30 seconds or the last 30 seconds. As long as you score more than the other team, I really don't. I don't care when it happens. So yeah, you'll take it, salute, and move on.
Yeah, Andrew, a similar one. First, I'm grateful for a win. Winning is better than losing, right, Chris Level? But why can't this team, specifically on offense, score when they have the chance to close the door? Several times this season, we've had an opportunity to go score a touchdown and go up big, but we go anemic.
Yeah, I mean, I think for a lot of the reasons that we, it's did you get any questions about why the defense allows a 60-yard run or a like, let's see, like a 10 play, an 11 play, and another 11 play, and an 18 play drive. A dropped would have been pick six. It's a team game, and I think you're just grinding on offense right now. This is not what the way you want to have to go about it. You'd love to be able to light it up, but you're trying to. Yeah, I mean, I think the funny thing is, like, a month ago was, why don't you run it more? What are you doing? Run it, hand it off. And now it's like, why don't, and so you're trying all the above, but I think, again, I go back to, not that I can blame it or whatever, but it's pretty tough when your quarterback is just kind of gutting it out right now. And it's pretty clear that the opposition knows this, and they're just kind of sitting on stuff. Now you got to try to scheme some stuff up, and whether it's screens or crossing patterns or whatever it may be, but it also doesn't help you when you just, I mean, again, it's well documented. You don't have a lot of, playmaker types that you can feed on offense. That's just the reality of it. You don't have that guy, and Taj Brooks is as close to that, but as we saw firsthand, he's not Devin Neal. As good as Taj is, he can't really make that Devin Neal run that Devin Neal did and run away from everybody and all that. That's just not really Taj's game. You want to grind it out 31 times for 130 plus yards, he's your man.
Yep.
But nothing necessarily comes easy. And I think Barron's missed a few open folks as he's still learning. I think he missed a wide open Miles Price against TCU that would have been a touchdown. I think he missed I can't remember if it was X White or Dre McCray or somebody was standing wide open in the end zone versus Kansas, and they just didn't see him, and that happens when you're scrolling. And maybe he thought, I can't get it there. I'm not even going to attempt it. I'm not sure, but hey man, I'm just glad that they won.
Yeah. I guarantee you, well, if Texas Tech goes and beats UCF next week, 45-42, and people are not going to sit here on this podcast and ask, why did our defense suck so bad? Why are we giving up 42 points? People aren't going to do that. Low hanging fruit. And again, we've talked about it before. We're conditioned to offense in Lubbock, Texas, have been for years and years, but it's the low hanging fruit to go after. Why didn't the offense do this? Why? At some point, you got to accept the win. I like the complementary football. When your offense isn't rolling, when your offense is struggling, your defense kicked butt. Your defense was awesome to be able to stop what was one of the best offenses in the Big 12. That Kansas offense was one of the absolute best, and you stymied them much of the day. Kept them, and a lot of it, you can say, okay, quarterback's out. That's fine. But a lot of it was their running game coming into the game. And your defense, outside of one giant run by Devin Neal, largely held them in check. And I think that's the part that you missed so much early in the season. I think that you've gotten the last couple of weeks is good complementary football, is the two sides of the ball, the three sides of the ball working well together. So that's what I like seeing personally.
And you mentioned complimentary football. I mean, special teams is the other compliment too. That I thought Austin McNamara did a good job, and I thought they went off script a little bit on some of the fourth down stuff, and put him on the field, let him pin the Jayhawks back a bit, and then Gino Garcia, just a heck of a day there for him, 3 of 4. So
Yep, no doubt. Okay, so a few more questions. We'll talk a little basketball. What bowl game? This is from Kelly. What bowl game do you think we go to if we finish 6-6?
Yeah, I think we're too early on that. First of all, you got to punch your ticket there. So much of it is who all is in the mix, and are you 6-6 or 7-5? Are you? Yeah, I'm not real sure what all the options are. I guess that will come into if you were to win this weekend, I think we'd have a better answer for you potentially. After a week from now, I guess I would say, assuming you win this weekend, but that's be careful about that assumption. And but again, I think it's important. I don't care whether that game's on December the 18th or December the 28th or whatever. I think it's important for you to kind of extend your season for a variety of reasons. Yeah,
get the bowl game. Yeah. And one thing to note though, if Tech makes a bowl game, if you go 6-6 at minimum, you're going to be a winning Big 12 team. You'll be at least 5-4. So that moves you up the ladder a little bit. Now you got more teams in the league this year. So lot still to be determined on that front. And then the news before we'll bridge over to basketball. The news that came out on Sunday is Jimbo Fisher gets fired by A&M, $75 million to walk away. So multiple questions. One in the email from John, and Kelly asked who should they hire, but John says with Jimbo being fired, does A&M go after Joey or someone else in the Big 12?
Man, it'd be a great day to be Jimbo Fisher, man.
$75 million to go sit on the couch.
$7 million a year every year until 2031.
That's better than Bobby Bonilla Day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I don't think there's offset language in there. I don't think he could go do something else. Unless I'm misunderstanding. I don't think there's any. That's just they had to pony up to get him there, and I think it's just fully guaranteed. But they get to pay it out over a period of time. But yeah, Jimbo he won even though he didn't. So no, Joey wouldn't take that job. That's not and I don't think they would want to talk to Coach McGuire either. I think this is a fit. I think Joey's kind of like Grant actually. I think the Baylor and the Texas Tech kind of deal. Those were the jobs that I think they would have preferred. I don't think Joey's not a UT or A&M type guy. I think he loves the fit here, and wants to build it here, and really wants to put in roots here. I mean, his wife Debbie, right? Honey, win some more games.
Win some more games.
Like living in Lubbock. Yeah, and that was on the coach's show last week. Yeah, he's being dead serious. He's like, yeah, she's more competitive than I am, man. She's like, honey, you better figure out a way to win. I really like living here.
So he's like, no one gets on me about the fourth downs more than she does.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Would they try to make a run at a guy like Lance Leipold or Chris Kleiman or somebody like that? I can't. Those guys don't seem like the A&M fit is a weird one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the old school, blue collar way that's not super flashy and Kleiman and because the A&M can say all they want about how they don't care about anything but results, but you're going to have trot out somebody there with some pedigree, you would think, like they did with Jimbo Fisher. And that's what's tricky. I mean, Jeff Traylor is, they've long been rumored because I think he has his eye on that UT or A&M job. I think he would love that opportunity. But what is UTSA this year? 7-3, and I don't know if A&M would be comfortable enough hiring the UTSA head coach. That's also something that they would have to ask. And he's very country and very, state of Texas and all those things. And maybe that I don't know what their money people would feel about that. Only they could speak to that. But
do their money people have the money to pay Jimbo this money and still go get a big name though?
Yeah, probably.
I would guess so, but
it depends on, how much they want to extend, and it probably depends on who it is. But, I saw Lane Kiffin's name. I saw Dan Lanning's name, who I think is doing a hell of a job at Oregon, although Oregon may be a better job than A&M. I don't know.
I would think right now it is.
Mike Elko at Duke, who spent some time at A&M as well. I just don't know. But I'll say this. I don't think you make this move at the time what you're going to go do, because I don't think you can do this and leave it to chance. Like, you needed to know what you were going to go forward with, because you can't run the risk of, I just don't think there's too much money involved here to that and go, well, if we get one of these 6 guys, we're going to be okay. No, I would think you've probably already identified, and
sure,
maybe you've even got it down to a couple, but it's like, hey, if we get any one of these guys, we're good. We're guaranteed to get one. I don't know, but those are my thoughts.
Yep. So shifting over to Texas.
Well, real quick, and the Aggies won yesterday. It was like 51-10.
That's what I was shocked when I saw the news on.
You went to go find the Mississippi State score.
Yeah, I'm like, did I read the score backwards? That's exactly what I did, because I saw. Yeah. I'm like, they won 55.
That's what you call the decision already being made. So
absolutely. So
they're 6-4, and again, credit to them for having high expectations and all those things. And some of those schools can have the money to fix issues, whereas other schools don't really have it, the financial wherewithal to be able to make things like that happen. That's just the reality of it. So, but yeah, they clearly already made up their mind there.
No question. They did. So, Level, moving on to basketball. You were on the call for the first, or you had the TV call for the first 2 games of the season. Texas Tech rolls in the first half of the first game against A&M Commerce. That's a little ugly in the second half, but wins it by 27. Then ugly quite a bit when it, just from a shooting standpoint, Tech had a lot of trouble getting the ball in the hoop, but so did San Jose State. Tech ends up winning after an 18-2 run to finish the game. What do you make of the first 2 games? Do you take away a lot, or is this just a team still sifting through and learning a bunch of stuff?
Yeah, it's been a busy several days here. Am I in Lawrence? Am I back in Lubbock? What sport am I supposed to be talking about? They haven't shot it well in either one of the first 2 games, I think, which is crazy because they just shot it like crazy versus A&M in that exhibition, the one that did not count. But they just haven't shot it well from the perimeter in the first 2 games. I think the first game, versus A&M Commerce, it was a free throw repeat where you just get to the free throw line repeatedly and you score. I think it was like 29 free throw attempts to 1. You made 24 of the 29. There was a 23-point difference, and you go look and see how much you won by.
Yep.
That's really the game within the game on kind of how and where you won that one. The one versus San Jose State. San Jose State is a much better team. San Jose State is a 21 team from last year. They have a guy named Tim Miles who's coached over 800 games. Longtime Nebraska coach, Colorado State coach, North Dakota State coach. They're going to be, and he was the Mountain West, I think, coach of the year last year. So yeah, they're going to be a tough out. I think the remainder of the season. I expect them to win a lot of games, and he had a lot of his roster back. And I think that Grant's North Texas teams played them in the Bahamas last year, so they knew what they were going to get. And I thought you had to grind, but I thought the crowd helped crack the Spartans a bit as the game went along, and I thought you started to take advantage. What Grant's team did in the second game compared to the first one is that they took better care of the ball. I thought they really had to grind and then manufacture some offense. Getting points in the paint were big. The second chance opportunities were big. The glass was big. I guess team rebounded because I think Pop Isaacs led you with 7. You had several other guys with 5 and 6 rebounds. So just collectively, you did a really good job. And it's tricky, man. Like against A&M Commerce, Pop Isaac scores 19 points, and he really had to grind and work at it versus, the Spartans of San Jose State. Just because, so whenever he doesn't score in bunches for you, other guys are going to have to step up. But that's there's some flaws with this team. Backup post player is tricky. I think where do the points come from when the game slows down or the perimeter shots aren't working? But I thought, Devin Cambridge against San Jose State did a really good job. He scored for you. So anyway, this was a sneaky good win here. And was the final 56-42?
Yes.
Yeah, you're going to look up, and I'm sure, I don't know what the spread was according to the Vegas folks.
15.5. So it was pretty close.
Oh, so you're right. But I was going to say you're right there, probably where they thought it would be, but this will be a good win. And there's some other ones on this schedule that are like this too. Nichols beat LSU the other day. I've seen Abilene Christian roll into Stillwater, beat Oklahoma State. These are with the way the sport is these days, it's a bit tougher in the non-conference schedule than you'd think, just because you don't know what teams are going to have year to year. Everybody's trying to figure their team out at the beginning of a year with all the new pieces because everybody's doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to get people, typically it's earlier compared to later. But yeah, those are, I guess, my thoughts, Choice on some basketball. But you've got one more tune-up, A&M Corpus Christi, in the United Supermarkets Arena on Thursday night, and then you're off to Atlantis, where you'll take on Villanova, I think it is, in that first game. And then I think that is it like Michigan and Northern Iowa the next round?
No, it's North Carolina and
North Carolina and Northern Iowa in the next
Michigan's
round.
in the bottom part.
Okay.
Yeah. You're going to get someone good again in that tournament at some point. You're going to get another Power 5 brand name at some point, and it's going to be real very quick. And you're right. This is a schedule that it may not look sexy in terms of the home schedule and a bunch of names. You may not be like, oh, really? San Jose State, Nichols, or whoever on the schedule, but it is a lot more teams that are picked towards the top of their league. So it's going to be an RPI building schedule, and it's schedule that'll test Texas Tech here. But Kelly did ask about a prediction for Battle for Atlantis. I'll let you hold on to that one for next week, since we'll be a step closer to that Battle for Atlantis in the Bahamas as well. But Level, we have run out of time. We'll hopefully get to talk about bowl eligibility when we reconvene next week.
Absolutely. Fun week. It sets up a fun end of the season, and you've got a lot to play for still. And basketball just getting going. So man, appreciate the time, Woodman. Enjoy the time of year, people. Lots of sports, lots of day sports, lots of all kinds of stuff. Holidays coming up. So hope everybody has a great week, and we'll talk to you next time.
Absolutely. That's Chris Level. I'm Choice Woodman. You've been tuned into the Ask Level podcast, brought to you by Double T 97.3. Have a great week.
You've been listening to the Ask Level podcast, powered by Double T 97.3.